Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the Kingsbury thing going to the Commanders.
Pulling out of the Raiders deal. Interesting idea.
People are saying that it's possibly to try and get Caleb there.
I mean, if he falls to 2, but it's not happening.
No, I think the Commanders would have to trade up.
I just don't see Chicago. I mean, I don't see Chicago moving. Everything I'm hearing, they just absolutely love Caleb, and he's their guy, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. But some shitty UFC fights over the weekend. They were not good.
I didn't catch any of that.
No, they were real bad. So you missed absolutely nothing. We appreciate you hanging out while you drive home. Be safe getting home.
Yes, for sure.
So you didn't miss anything with those because it was terrible. Let's see. Ton of wrestling news, but I know we don't talk about a lot of wrestling, but everyone's probably seen all the talk about The Rock stepping in a place he doesn't belong. It's been all over TMZ, ESPN, CNN now. For those who didn't know, when you win the Royal Rumble, you get to pick your main event spot for WrestleMania, and Cody Rhodes won it, and he was supposed to challenge Roman because that storyline's been building for 2 years. And The Rock, who recently, this last week, put himself on the board of directors of TKO, who own the WWE now, Friday morning inserted himself into the title picture instead and took Cody Rhodes out of that title picture, making Cody have to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, which is still a phenomenal match. So wrestling fans need to understand that. But it's just, we were also excited Vince left and is now long gone because the FBI is investigating him for sex trafficking and everything else. And we were all so excited because it started to look positive, and then The Rock steps in and just completely yeets a Vince McMahon move and puts himself where he wants to be. The whole world's upset with The Rock, which is crazy to me. I never thought wrestling fans could be mad at The Rock. I don't like The Rock, so it's kind of shocking to see other people finally not liking The Rock.
I mean, he's basically been successful in almost everything he's done, so I can understand that piece.
Yeah, he rocks my world. Hi, Darlene. I deranged. And then there was racing this weekend that got moved forward a day, the day of the race, so it didn't get as good of, I don't know, drivers weren't as prepared. We didn't have all the drivers that should have been in it because there were supposed to be heats that got canceled because of all the flooding in LA. The race was supposed to be in LA on Sunday, but LA is getting, I don't know if they're still getting rained on, but from my understanding, people are getting like evacuated and crap because of how bad it's been. So it was the right move. A lot of NASCAR fans are real pissed that they moved it forward out of nowhere. And I was like, well, they kind of, the emergency workers who work at the track work for the city of LA. So they were needed the next day, and NASCAR understood that, and they made sure they were available. So I was behind that move. I just kind of, wasn't prepared for it. I was streaming Saturday afternoon, and then my buddy Kyle texted me and goes, "Race is tonight now, by the way." And I was like, what? So I ended stream a little early, but that's fine. But anyway, a lot of sports news. The last one I will mention is, from at least that's not football related, is the big one. The Orioles get sold for $1.7 billion, a franchise valued at $3.4 billion. But the Angelos family wanted out of this team. And I'm happy to hear it. The new owners have already come out at a press conference and told us that they're going to start doing things, and they're going to make a lot of moves in free agency in the next offseason because they're willing to spend the money. Multiple owners in this group. There's two groups came together and bought them. Cal Ripken's part of one of the groups, so good to see a Baltimore guy. But that being said, they didn't wait. They went and got Corbin Burns from the Brewers 2 days after the sale. So
Okay.
traded DL Hall and Joey Ortiz, so our 5th and 4th ranked prospects to get him, but got Corbin Burns to be the ace of a staff now. So I don't know. As a Baltimore Orioles fan, it's the first time in my life we've actually done something positive. Is a Baltimore. The new owner, Rubenstein, is from Baltimore and has lived there his whole life. That's what I'm assuming that meant to say. I didn't know that. I honestly don't know anything about the owners except for Cal's part of the group. But I know we missed last week, so there's everything I can think of up to besides football that's been going on. The Yankees today claimed somebody or got somebody from the Dodgers. One of the Dodgers prospects, like bottom level prospects. He's ranked like 16th in their system or something. 24 years of age, still in AAA, but he did post a 2.97 ERA in AAA last year. But the Yankees got the Dodgers got cash back for the deal.
Yeah, they traded Ferguson. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The Pro Bowl was supposedly played yesterday. I don't know. I don't know anyone that watches it. I don't know why anyone would watch it.
I mean, I guess if you're bored and got nothing else to do.
That's why God created alcohol, video games, and books, right? I don't drink, but
I mean, not wrong.
Nothing new too big in hockey. The one big trade happened since we've last been live, but I can't remember who it was anymore. The Flames traded to the Canucks. It was the day after I texted you about how the Canucks have come out of nowhere. I might have it saved still because I sent it to you, so it had to have been saved on my phone. Screenshots.
The Canadians also the Canadians traded Moynihan.
I didn't know that.
Moynihan. I don't know.
Shane Monahan. He's been bouncing around since he left the Flames.
Yeah.
The Flames. No, I do not have it anymore. But either way, it was a good big trade. I don't know how I deleted it. Oh, here it is. Elias Lindholm went to the Canucks. Yes. Received Andrei Kuzmenko, Hunter Brustewicz, Joni Germo, and a 2024 first and a conditional 2024 fourth.
Okay.
So big trade for the Flames to get all that in return, but huge move for the Canucks. All right, so football. There's a lot of football news. I'm going to start with the breaking news that came out today from Adam Schefter and multiple other sources now have confirmed it, including Bleacher Report. It's just my cough. I'm not worried about it. The Eagles are expected to open the season on a Friday night game in Brazil.
Solid. Carnival.
I don't know. Now, again, I don't know if there's going to be an opening Thursday night game like normal, because normally the Super Bowl champion opens Thursday night football to start the season.
Right.
So there's a chance that it's a Thursday night and a Friday night combination here. But the first game of the season for the Eagles will be a home game. It's going to be one of their home games, and it's going to be in Brazil. The first game in NFL in Brazil. And that was reported by Adam Schefter and Bleacher Report today.
They're going global.
I feel week one's a little early for the international games. But I guess at least it's on the Eagles website. So there you go. I guess at least it gets the Eagles don't need a bye necessarily. They're in the same times while they're an hour ahead of us.
And they're already in Cancun, so
yeah, there you go. They're going to be in Cancun all the way up to the season starts. But so there's the big breaking news of the day. Again, like I said, it's not that big a deal. I mean, it's a really big deal for international play. It's cool to see them going to Brazil and getting a game in Sao Paulo. Like, I'm really excited to see how the Brazilian crowd reacts to American football. We've seen the NFL crowd in England is insane. The Germany crowd is absolutely apeshit. So I'm hoping the Brazilian fans are big. We'll see. But but it's only an hour early. Like they only move forward an hour to play that game, so it's not, a big travel. It's just distance wise, it's big, but other than that, it's not that big a deal. And I can't imagine it's much different than Philly going to Seattle. I could be wrong, but across the United States seems like about the distance to go down that way.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why, like, they're trying to obviously capture new markets, but it just, I don't know. It seems odd.
Now, it would be smart, in my opinion, to put a team like the Cowboys, the most publicized team in the country, to be a team that you would send overseas to try and do things. But maybe because they've been doing this foreign program where they have like each team, like I think it's like 26 of the 32 teams have foreign programs now. Like some have programs in Australia, New Zealand, where they advertise. Some advertise down in African nations. So maybe the Eagles are just advertising down in South America. So that's the reason the Eagles were the one chosen to be the team to represent for the game in Brazil. Now, granted, there's no opponent announced yet because the NFL schedule doesn't come out till much later. So, I mean, it could even be the Cowboys. They always try to make the opening games as big as possible. So there's no way of saying it couldn't be Cowboys Philly in Brazil. But we'll have to see how that plays out.
I don't know about that, but
I don't see a division rivalry game
happening,
going.
I'm like, NFL's not letting that game go that far. Buffalo, Jacksonville, okay. London, you go.
Let's see, who are the Eagles' 2024 opponents? It probably would be like an NFL.
Do you think they look?
Team.
How do you think they look at metrics? Like people watching TV down there, jersey sales. What do you think they take it all, kind of like, and analyze it?
Probably the jersey sales is the biggest thing for them. Like, I wonder if Jalen Hurts sells really well there because they have the picture of the announcement is Jalen Hurts on the picture of the announcement. But I don't know. I have no idea how it works. I mean, I know why Jacksonville's the team for England, and that's because Shad Khan owns an English soccer team. But the Eagles' opponents this year are all right. So according to the Eagles' own website, the potential opponents for the opening game in Brazil include the Cowboys, the Giants, the Commanders. So any of the three they would play at home. And then the Browns, Falcons, Jags, Steelers, Packers, and Panthers. And I probably would assume it's not the Jags since they're going to play a game in London. I doubt they're going to send them to London and Brazil in the same season.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, in the NBA, you can make your players play on glass. So.
Yeah. They also have their best player one of their best players, Embiid's like 3 games away from missing out on MVP already because of all the rest he's picking up.
And it says no team will be required to play more than one regular season game outside of North America in the same season unless they specifically choose to. I.e., the Jags. They're like, we're going to put an exception.
Yeah. But all right, so one of the things we're going to talk about before we get to the Super Bowl is all the coaching changes in the offseason. Dot's team is one of those teams with the coaching change. So we'll get to
we're just one piece away. I'm telling you.
Yeah, whole offense.
Yep. It's only one piece.
So we'll start at the top alphabetically because I just pulled up the list. So Atlanta Falcons, as we all know, let go of Arthur Smith. We're all thankful for that. Because now we get to see Bijan Robinson and company actually play football. Raheem Morris is the new guy. He's been a coach before in the NFL, so this isn't brand new to him. He's been an interim coach. Let me rephrase. So this will be his first coach, I think. He's made Zach Robinson the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, who's that?
Zach Robinson was I believe, passing game coordinator, but I need to double check this. He was the Rams passing games coordinator and quarterback coach.
Okay.
So he brought somebody else from the system of Sean McVay over with him. Defensive coordinator is Jimmy Lake. That guy, I have no idea who that is. He was the University of Washington's defensive coordinator, so now he is the Falcons' defensive coordinator. So the Falcons upgrade all around, in my opinion. I don't know much about Jimmy Lake or Zach Robinson, but Zach Robinson comes from the Sean McVay offense, so I can only imagine he's going to at least have some positive impact to the offense in Atlanta.
Maybe.
I would hope.
I mean,
as long as he learned from Sean.
If you compare it to last year, I mean, you're probably 80% improvement.
Yeah, I think he could take anybody, and it would probably be a better running offense. Raheem Morris was highly, sought after, so it's cool to see that he actually got a job where they've got good cap space, they've got draft picks, so we'll see what Raheem Morris does with this team. But
I think the biggest question is obviously what are they doing at the most important position?
Quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have no idea. That I can't answer.
I don't think it's going to be Desmond Ridder. Like, we saw that.
I don't either. But like Raheem Morris, and his coaching staff, they came from LA and Washington. So unless they find a way, I could see the defensive coordinator trying to make a push to try and get Michael Penix, who, by the way, didn't mention it, but the Senior Bowl was this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who missed the Senior Bowl, it was a good game. It was actually competitive on both sides. A lot of people's stock went up and down as normal. The guy whose stock at quarterback went up the most somehow still continues to climb, Michael Penix. He looked brilliant in the Senior Bowl. Him and Spencer Rattier, or however you say his name, from South Carolina. His went up a lot too. He won.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about now.
Former Oklahoma guy. Went to South Carolina for a year. Those two had great games. Bo Nix and Sam Hartman destroyed their stock. I mean, Bo Nix's stock is going to be what it is already, but it went down pretty significantly. He missed some pretty open throws.
Yeah, I've heard him sliding in a lot of spots.
Yeah, and Hartman, just from what I read after that game, a lot of people are saying that he is now going to be the bottom tier of the quarterbacks. As he's getting jumped after showing some pretty poor athleticism in the Senior Bowl.
Okay.
And for a guy who's 24 years of age entering the league, you have to not show negatives. You've got to be as bright as possible because you're already close to your prime. But anyway, but that's the only thing I can think is maybe they'll try and get Penix if they can. I don't know where Atlanta sits in the draft, but it would be a guy he's kind of familiar with from the coaching staff, at least, of Washington. And it would give Raheem Morris a bright young quarterback to work around. But we'll see. The next team with a small coaching – well, not small, but the Ravens have a coaching change in the fact that they lost Mike McDonald at defensive coordinator, a brilliant defensive coordinator, but they lost him to the Seattle Seahawks, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Actually, just sorry to answer your question. Atlanta picks 8th.
I can see him going 8th.
I can see him
because Washington and Chicago are really the only two at the very top that need quarterbacks. So
right,
and everyone is still saying it's still Caleb and Drake May 1-2. I don't know why. My opinion of Drake May has dropped significantly, but
I'm kind of on the fence.
Yeah, but the Ravens have replaced Mike McDonald with Zachary Orr, an all-pro linebacker back in the day for the Baltimore Ravens. Kind of like Gerard Mayo. Stuck around with the Ravens the whole time, and now as defensive coordinator. Gerard Mayo's head coach, but it's a step. We'll see how he does in the role. A lot of teams apparently called to see if they could get him as defensive coordinator, and the Ravens said no because they were worried Mike McDonald would be leaving. So they were smart and held on to him. Buffalo is keeping Joe Brady. I guess after the increase of offensive production, they decided that he is the guy going forward. So they've kept Joe Brady, who I actually thought was just going to be an interim guy, and then they would go sign a younger-minded guy. Joe Brady's been around the league for a little bit, so I thought they were going to go get one of those innovative offensive coaches to go work next to Josh Allen. But, I mean, if it's not broke, I guess.
But what's I guess what is broken, right? Because obviously they can't crest the hill.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing in Baltimore. Neither team seems to be able to get past that. It's like the Chiefs have become the only team in the AFC that we can see go to the next level besides the Bengals, which Joe Burrow was hurt. Like these two teams need to find a way to get what they need to get. They just need to get past the Kansas City Chiefs. What is that element they're missing that makes them better? And I'm not taking away from Pat Mahomes. I'm not taking away from Travis Kelce, but I mean, a large part of it is Andy Reid. I mean, Andy Reid is just the best coach in football right now. It's just nobody like him. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Bills. I do. I think the Bills would have benefited from a young, kind of like the Ravens did last year, and went out and got Todd Monken to help Lamar Jackson, develop some parts of his offense and become more dynamic. It would have been nice to see them go out and get an offensive-minded guy who can do the same for Josh Allen. Unlock the next part of his game. Stop letting him be just the same guy.
It's their downfall. Him and Lamar are so talented that they get put in positions where they have to play hero ball, and that's when it goes the worst for them.
Yep.
It's just it doesn't seem to work for anybody but Pat Mahomes.
Yeah. All right, so the next coaching changes is right there afterward. Carolina. We already knew this. They went out and got Dave Canales, which we talked a little bit about.
Great. A guy can fire in 8 games.
Yeah, the former offensive coordinator for the Bucks.
Do you think that guy was just like, you know what? I'm selling out. I'm getting paid.
I mean, you have to if you're going to go to Carolina. You don't get any draft picks. You're not even that great in cap space. You don't have Brian Burns coming back for sure. It's a mess. I mean, it's just a flat mess. He's coming into a bad situation. He needs at least a 2-year guarantee to at least get competitive. I'm not even saying win the division. I'm saying compete.
Right.
And then the offensive coordinator is Brad Idzik. I don't know anything about that guy. They kept Ejiro Evero as defensive coordinator. The guy's a genius. He was talked about as a head coach potential. Brad Idzik is the former wide receivers coach in Tampa Bay, so he's now the offensive coordinator in Carolina. So there you go.
Oh God! I just love that there's such a stark contrast between pick number 1 and pick number 2 in the draft.
I
don't think it's getting any better. I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, I think. Are you talking about last year with like Bryce and CJ?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like it's this year too. Like Caleb's so much better than Drake May at this point that I'm like, if that is really 1-2, we're going to see it, but it's going to be reversed this time. I think the 1 will be the right one. Because CJ's only going to get better. And Bryce is going to have to learn a completely new system for the 4th time in his fucking second year.
Ooh. That's a tall order for a dude who's struggling. Mentally.
Yeah, not a lot of veterans on this team to come help lift him up either. Like Thielen is it. It's an ugly situation in Carolina. I wish this guy, the coach, luck. I wish Bryce Young luck, but I don't see it getting better.
I mean, that's like an all-in poker move when you're bluffing, right? Like just that's what I feel Carolina did. They went all in and then folded before the final card.
Yeah, it kind of feels that way.
Like it's bad. Like of all the teams in hell I can think of right now, they have got they've got the absolute worst situation.
100%. And they have an owner that makes it so no one even wants to work with them. So it's like it can't get worse than having a bad situation and a bad owner.
Like you're bordering Dan Snyder type behavior here.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah, we'll get to the Commanders soon. So Dallas, as we all know, their only coaching changes. They lost Dan Quinn, which we're about to get to in a little bit here. They don't have anyone as of right now in place. Reports are Ron Rivera is getting interviewed. The guy who just left L.A. or the Chargers. Brandon Staley's going to get interviewed.
Oh God.
Al Harris is one of their in-person people that they might be moving up. So we'll see what happens with that. The Packers fired Joe Barry. Jeff Hafney is the new defensive coordinator. He was the Boston College head coach. So he comes into a defensive coordinator job, leaving the head coaching job for college. Let's see. The Raiders keep Antonio Pierce and sign Luke Getsy as offensive coordinator.
Okay. I don't mind that.
No, I like the moves. I think the Raiders, first time I've seen Mark Davis do something semi-intelligent.
Yeah, like he's like, you know what? I've done this before. I'm terrible at it. Do the opposite.
The players are telling me the psychedelic. Yeah, it's Monday Night Raw on the TV. The players are telling him what to do, and he finally listened. So maybe it'll work out for the Raiders. They need a quarterback. I don't know. Like you said before, a couple weeks ago when we talked about this, though, Jimmy G is still on contract. So, like, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to try and trade him? Or are you just going to have him be the veteran backup?
Yeah, like do you ride it out for a year and you're like, all right, we can reset next year, but everybody else gets a year older.
Yeah, exactly. Especially Devontae, who's already almost 30, if not 30. And then you get we'll see. I mean, all they have to do is if they get a quarterback, they can work on their defense from that point. And that's really what they need to do. Their offense is fine if they get the QB. Josh Jacobs said he'll make a team-friendly deal to stay with Antonio Pierce. So
I'm pretty sure I saw that defense beat the shit out of Kansas City.
Yeah. They have the right pieces in place. Like Max Crosby's a great piece. They've got a good number 2 corner, but they needed linebacking core. They need another corner, and I think this defense really can function. Defensive coordinator is Patrick Graham. Antonio Pierce is a defensive-minded guy, so that helps
you know what
would
really help? A guy that can throw the ball accurately downfield.
Who's throwing up?
Oh, don't you love that in a house full of pets?
I just got over being sick, and then today I woke up because of Mew throwing up in the bedroom, and now it's one of the dogs. I'll get it after we're done talking coaching. Fucking crazy-ass animals. Next one here, Chargers. Everybody in the world knows what the Chargers did. They went out and signed Jim Harbaugh.
Who's got it better than we do?
He then came out and said he wants to win multiple championships. Emmanuel Acho went after him, saying you can't win multiple championships with Justin Herbert. So that's already begun.
God, this guy is he's such a trash can, man. Like, I get it. But you've been wrong so many times.
Just the fact that he's so willing to blame Justin Herbert, Brandon Staley clearly wasn't an issue, and the fact that no one has picked up Kellen Moore tells you that Kellen Moore, actually, I think the Eagles did. All right, well, the fact that the Eagles, who clearly haven't figured out offensive coordinators since what's-his-name left, decided Kellen Moore. Like, Kellen Moore clearly was a problem. The Cowboys' offense got better without him. The Chargers' offense does have a concern for me. Ocho is like Ocho or Acho? I like Ocho Cinco.
Yeah, Acho. Emmanuel Acho is an idiot.
Emmanuel Acho is a brain-dead moron. That whole show is bad that he's on. But Jim Harbaugh did make a questionable decision at offensive coordinator. He went out and signed Greg Roman.
Yeah, that's a little questionable in my...
I'm not the biggest fan of that. I don't know how much he's going to be making the play calls. Jim is the offensive-minded guy. Yeah, that's who you meant. Okay. Yeah, he's not smart. Jim might be making the play calls. This might be just like a guy who is there to help run the offense in practice and stuff like that and set up play calls, and then Jim makes the calls. So that might be what it is. Kind of like Andy Reid. You don't make the calls around Andy Reid. Andy Reid makes the offensive calls. But we'll see. Jesse Minter is the defensive coordinator. He has 0 years of experience as an actual coach. I don't know who the hell he is. He was Michigan's defensive coordinator, so he's bringing him with him.
And I'd like to throw out a little fact here. it was not last year, but the year before. Didn't Justin Herbert throw for like 5,000 fucking yards? Like,
His second year of his career, yeah.
like, okay, this guy can't do it. He kept pace with Brady with the Bucks. Like,
Yeah.
it's just I don't
In
know,
the second
man.
year, too. Like, it's the year that quarterbacks are supposed to slouch.
With a coach that obviously can't coach, at least offense.
He's not even hired yet, and that tells you something. So then we get to New England. Actually, you know what? I do want to mention the Rams signed a new defensive coordinator named Chris Shula, and I don't know if it's Don Shula's like
I like it.
grandson or son, but I like the name just in case it is. He is the grandson of Don Shula, so yeah, that's pretty dope.
That's a little far down the tree, but you know we'll give it to him.
So the Patriots are next. Gerard Mayo. I don't know how you feel about it, but I actually love it.
I mean, I like the coaching pick. I think we're going to be dead last in the league next year.
I agree with you because I don't know what the hell you're doing at quarterback. Did Eric Bieniemy get any interviews? So offensive coordinator jobs that are still open for Eric Bieniemy to potentially get an interview now that coaching is just filled like crazy. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how nobody's been signed. There's only 2 jobs left, and it's Seattle and New Orleans. They're the only 2 offensive coordinator jobs left. Well, and Tennessee, but they said Brian Callahan's making the play calls. They're not hiring an offensive coordinator. So we'll see how that goes as a first-year head coach. That's a lot of responsibility. So as of right now, no. Washington did clarify they're not giving him any role. He's not coming back to the franchise. So he didn't elevate much. I always worry about it with people under Andy Reid. Andy Reid doesn't have like a massive coaching tree. Andy Reid is a genius. And when you work under him, most of the time he does the play calling. So you're just there to help at practice and stuff like that. You're not making the big game play calls that he makes.
How many cheeseburgers did you bring? I'll trade you 4 play calls for 3 cheeseburgers.
The Patriots have moved with Alex Van Pelt as offensive coordinator. He is the Browns' former offensive coordinator and passing game coordinator. So we'll see. We'll
Listen,
see.
You got, hey, bud, you got your work cut out for you. I have faith in you. No, I don't.
And then as defense goes, you guys signed. I don't even know this guy's name. DeMarcus Covington, who was your defensive line coach. You have elevated to defensive coordinator. So, I mean, him and Gerard Mayo have familiarity with each other, being linebacker coach and defensive line coach. Now, one is head coach, one is defensive coordinator. So, I mean, I guess there's a relationship there and potential trust and ability to run a team together. I mentioned it. New Orleans has yet to hire an offensive coordinator, which they really need because Dennis Allen's offense has been terrible. He kept his job somehow. So,
I feel like this whole coach hiring firing cycle was really weird.
This year, yeah, it's been really odd. Philly has signed Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore, offensive and defensive coordinators. Arthur Smith did get a job with Pittsburgh, which you texted me about, I believe, this week.
If anybody can bring that record a couple notches down, it can be Arthur Smith.
You know who else can help with that? The guy who tweeted today that he is trying to make a comeback and he plans to do it with the Steelers. Le'Veon Bell is apparently hoping to make a comeback to the NFL this season, and he wants to do it with Pittsburgh. So that'll be interesting.
Oh my God. Yeah, I can't even put words to that. You know what? Call up AB. Him and Chandler Jones have their podcast called CTE, where they talk about how CTE isn't real, but they're both losing their minds. I feel like there's a CTE rat inside their brains, just like, tell them it's not CTE.
Like in South Park, that what was that rat's name that ran around the school telling a bunch of rumors?
Oh my God. Can't think. I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
Yeah. Tennessee hired Nick Holes. Okay. It says here that Brian Callahan plans to make the head coach makes plans to make the play calls. So I guess if they sign Nick Holes, it'll be he'll be offensive coordinator, but he won't be making the play calls. Like I've said before, it's like Kyle Shanahan. There's probably a guy that 2 hours ago, so maybe it's changed since because this is as of yesterday morning.
You know who had the best hire of the season so far? University of Washington. They signed Steve Belichick as their defensive coordinator.
I was about to. Nick Holes hired. Anyway, and then there is the coaching change that I cannot stand. Oh, wait, we still got Mike Macdonald. I love the Mike Macdonald move. I won't lie to you. Seattle signing the Ravens defensive coordinator. I do think Seattle needed to go offense. The league is going offense, but I think Mike Macdonald, if he can get a good offensive-minded coach next to him, I think they're perfectly fine. I do think it's time to move on from Geno, though, so I don't know what's going to happen in that situation.
Yeah, I feel like he's serviceable, but they're not going to take the next step with him.
Yeah, but we'll see. I wish Mike Macdonald luck. I really hoped Baltimore would keep him for one more year, but obviously when you get a head coaching job, it's better pay and it's a better job, so, going up. Tennessee, though. These are the two jobs I'm not the biggest fan of. Tennessee hires Brian Callahan. He became a hot commodity out of nowhere. He was not talked about. And then out of nowhere, 3 different teams interviewed him, and he got 2 second interviews with the Falcons, and he got a second interview with the Panthers, and then Tennessee landed him. He's the former offensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay, but think about the teams you just listed, okay? The bar's not very high.
No, it's not. No, but it would have been kind of interesting to see Atlanta go offensive-minded young head coach instead of a defensive-minded coach. But I believe Brian Callahan, he's 39 years of age, so he's one of the younger coaches in the league. Not the youngest, but he's one of the younger coaches in the league. He's an offensive-minded dude. Comes into Tennessee, where I assume they're going with Will Levis.
I mean, you kind of have to, right?
He did well enough that I think you have to at least give him a year to see what he is.
I mean, he's got a big arm. He can get the ball down. He needs some work, though.
And he's not afraid of anyone. Like he'll run his mouth and he'll get in your face, and he's got a motor. But now the coaching job that was mentioned earlier, and I don't like it either. Dan Quinn to Washington. Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Witt, offensive defensive coordinator, already signed. But I don't have anything wrong with Dan Quinn. I'm not one of those guys that's going to go out there and be like, oh, fuck, Dan Quinn's terrible. All right. He did an all right job in Atlanta up to the Super Bowl, and then it just kind of fell apart, right? So, but the problem is he'll fix the defense. But can Cliff Kingsbury really fix the offense? And I don't know, isn't Mike Vrabel the better option? Did he turn them down and I don't know about it? Like, I just feel like...
I can't understand how Mike Vrabel doesn't have a job already.
Yeah. And I don't know if he's going to take a defensive coordinator job because as of right now, there's not any available. Wait, no, yeah, there is. Dallas. But, I have a hard time understanding the Dan Quinn move when Mike Vrabel's a fucking free agent head coach.
Right.
And again, Mike Vrabel might have turned them down, and I might not have heard about it. I tried to keep up with all the coaching news I could, but I think he just wanted to be a head coach. Exactly, but, why? Okay, so, if you're Seattle, I kind of get the Mike Macdonald thing, but again, Vrabel, an established head coach, who gets respect out of his locker room already. Seattle was a great spot for Mike Vrabel where he could work with those young defensive players. And
he took a dumpster fire team to the playoffs
multiple times.
Yeah. I don't see how people don't like him. Now, I can see that an owner would look at his relationship with the owner and the GM there and say it was kind of hostile. But, dude, if you're trading away his best players and he's telling you not to, what do you expect?
Yeah, like I'm sorry, but the AJ Brown trade, like, and I know that's where the rift really began. Like he was saying, do not trade AJ Brown, and then they trade AJ Brown, and then you have no receivers, so you have to spend a quarter of your cap space on not a quarter, but
You
like
literally traded him for
10% of your cap
nothing.
space on D Hop.
You got nothing back. You got cents on the dollar. Like,
Yeah, Treylon Burks is who they drafted with that pick.
and don't get me wrong, he's a serviceable wide receiver, but he's not AJ Brown.
Yeah, not even
Like, you
close.
knew AJ Brown was AJ Brown. Like, you knew that. So, like, I hate when, and I don't know, maybe it was a money thing. I feel like some owners overthink things, or some GMs overthink things. And it's like, no. How about we keep the guy that catches the ball all the time? No?
Yeah.
It's kind of a winning formula. Oh, you don't want to do that. Okay. Any particular reason why? Yeah, we don't want you anymore, Mike.
Yeah, I didn't look. He's the coach I would have never really seen getting fired. But when I heard that he had an issue with the GM and that he was very vocal after the season ended about changes he wanted, I knew something bad was happening.
Listen, they're billionaires with their toys. At the end of the day, you can only do so much.
Reading that Vrabel intimidated GMs is hilarious to me. Exactly. Like, it's just.
And it's not like the dude was small. He was just afraid because Mike was that much bigger. Players were coming out and saying that Vrabel in practice, if guys weren't doing shit, he'd throw on pads and just hop in there. I can only see him and like MCDC doing that.
Yeah, it's like I said, Pete Carroll.
Maybe
like
McVay.
Yeah, one of the reasons his team loved him. Pete Carroll would go out if the quarterback wasn't doing what he wanted. He would go out and show him how to do it. It didn't matter.
Chewing his gum with his exquisite jawline.
I'm just, I don't know. He's the coach. I can't figure it out. And I heard rumors on the Green Bay website that he was one of the defensive coordinators we might interview, and I was like, nah, he's not going to take a defensive coordinator.
I mean, if you can land that, take it. Like,
yeah,
go 100%.
I'm excited to see the Boston college coach. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I really wanted Al Harris, but I'm willing to accept what we got.
Listen, he's no Matt Patricia, right?
I didn't want Matt Patricia or Brandon Staley. Like, those are my biggest fears. I was like, if we sign someone that's not them, I'll learn to deal with it. All right. So there's a lot of coaching changes. I think a lot of these teams have a lot of hope in these. Like, there's a lot of hope to be built around some of these coaching changes. And then there's teams like Washington where I'm like, you guys did so much right. Like, the front office stuff, you did all right all off season. And then you make this coaching hire, and I'm like, I don't know how to feel about it.
And the saga in Washington continues.
I think he will be, Tesco. I mean, he turned Boston College around. If you look at when he took over to now and how good that team has become and how many draft class people they have, he's really elevated the Boston College. I mean, the ACC is not too hard to elevate in, realistically, outside of Clemson. But, I mean, it gives me hope. And that's where A.J. Dillon went, was Boston College. Reports out of Green Bay is we're keeping Jair and Aaron Jones now. I was hoping we would trade one of the two just for picks, but it is what it is. Because, we're a young team, but we still have holes. But, oh well. So as far as before we pick this pick, I'm curious. Me and Don have talked about it. I'm going to ask him again just because now that the Senior Bowl's over and it's pretty much Super Bowl's over soon this Sunday, and then it becomes free agency in March, and then it's the draft. What do you think happens with Justin Fields? It's still the biggest story. It has to be the biggest story. I'm hearing that they might not even trade him now, and they might still draft Caleb, which does not make any sense.
Now you have a quarterback and a running back signed. Makes sense. I mean, they need help at running back, right? Like, Justin Fields, like, hey, hop in there. You're going. I mean, listen, stranger things have happened, man. Like, Can you imagine? They're just like, you know what? We're going to turn you into a running back at your size with your speed.
I mean, Cordell Jones turned from quarterback to wide receiver, so.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing too. And the Kingsbury going to the Commanders thing is familiarity with Caleb. So the thought process is that the Bears are real hesitant that if they take him, they still have to deal with a problem. Like, and I get it, but I'll tell you what, I don't think Bears, listen, if you could do what no other quarterback in Bears history has done,
throw for 4,000 yards one time.
I mean, you cement your legacy, right? Like, that's instantaneous. Just instantaneous.
I mean, so now I've heard some interesting things. I have heard Fields to Atlanta. I've heard Fields as late as a second-round pick now. Is what they're saying they might even get out of him is just a second-round pick, which would be crazy to me. I do think a team like Atlanta, the Raiders, could really benefit from a player like Justin Fields since they don't have the opportunity at Caleb or Drake. But I've also seen that the Bears could trade back with their second pick. Sorry, still get Caleb, but trade back their second pick to trade their second pick in the first round, which I think is like 9th. It's not very far down, to the Bills for Stephon Diggs and put Diggs and Moore as your receiving core for Caleb Williams.
And that's the interesting thing about Atlanta is there's thoughts that if Fields goes to Atlanta, they're asking for Pitts in return.
Man, but like you just signed Kmet to a 4-year, $80 million contract.
Listen, I have seen a 2 tight end set that works really well. You got one of the most unguardable men in history and a double murderer on the other side.
Yeah.
Technically
a triple murderer if you include himself. I don't know.
Not wrong. Math checks out.
Fucking Aaron Hernandez, for those who didn't get the joke.
I looked for his jersey at Patriot Stadium, man. They didn't have it.
I wonder how cheap it is online.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to find out.
While he does that, I'm going to tell you my opinion. My opinion is Caleb Williams will get drafted 1 overall. They'll trade Fields either as a day 2 pick for the second round pick, or maybe a first round pick if a team comes up like, Atlanta, and they go, oh, all the quarterbacks we liked are off the board, and they panic at 9 and trade for Fields. But I do think Caleb gets drafted to the Bears. I'm aware that people think that he won't be happy to play there, but Colin Cowherd said when he said something about him potentially not being happy to play in Chicago, that Caleb's personal agent, his team texted Colin and said, please don't say that. It's misrepresenting it. We just want to play for a team that actually wants to win and will build around Caleb. So they weren't saying that he was wrong. They weren't saying he was right. They were just saying that they want a team that's going to build around someone like Caleb Williams. And Chicago historically has not built well around a quarterback ever. We've talked about it, but Jordan Love literally played 1 season this year. CJ Stroud played his first season in the NFL, and they've already both outplayed any Chicago Bears quarterback in NFL history. So, there is a concern for Caleb to go there. Drake May is a lot quieter. Drake May doesn't have the dad Caleb has, who doesn't shut up. Caleb's dad is very loud and outspoken. So I think in a place like DC, he'd be a lot happier because new ownership and all of Cliff Kingsbury, like you said, familiarity with that. And you get Terry McLaurin. I'm not saying DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore is better than Terry McLaurin, but I also think that when you have Cliff Kingsbury versus, I don't even know the offensive coordinator for the Bears at this point, since they fired theirs and hired a new one, it just brings uncertainty to Caleb Williams in general. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely might be an awesome pair of tight end beasts. They could be. Problem is the offense doesn't seem to like to use them both.
It's one or the other. You don't get two.
Yeah, it seemed like even when Andrews came back, I just don't. There was no pair of the two. It was one or the other. Todd Monken's gonna have to figure that out in this offseason. But the Ravens also have a cap problem this offseason, so Isaiah Likely might be one of those guys they let go or trade to try and free up some cap space because they have Mark Andrews locked down permanently. Well, not permanently, but 4 more years. So.
Okay, I got the numbers on the jersey. I got the numbers.
All right, let's see.
So for a replica jersey, you're talking $100 to $355, depending on the jersey. The red seems to be the rarest. If you're looking for an autographed jersey, it's $575. You can find towels, footballs, trading cards, end zone pylons that he touched for hundreds of dollars. You can get a t-shirt that was worn by him for about $65. And it was the one that said Quake and Shake with him and Rob Gronkowski.
Here, while you talk about this, let me clean up that throw up before it dries.
Now, everything's becoming a bit more limited, it says. You can still get 8x10 photos of him for like $30 a piece. And the thing that the Patriots did was they had that trade-in program. So there was a lot that got picked up and is no longer circulating. So yeah, I think, all they had after basically his death was a couple hundred signed photographs. So, if you go back and watch the season, there might be a player who he traded jerseys with. I feel like that might be like one of the top selling pieces. Like, I feel like that would have to be. Because other than that, it's just going to be, whatever the police found for evidence. It's going to be like Ted Bundy undies. Actually, the one thing I did see was that the most sought after jersey would be his college jersey. And if you don't remember that team, holy shit.
It was a Saint and Tim Tebow and a bunch of murderers and
it was literally a gang and Tim Tebow at the helm. Like, it was like, was it Urban Meyer? It was Urban Meyer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, so yeah, he was just part of the gang. Because that's what it says. It says the most sought after jersey is his actual college jersey.
Let's see this dumpster fire of a roster. This might not be the right year.
What year was it? Let me see.
2009, I think.
It's funny. They're like, why would memorabilia celebrating a convicted murderer be a hot commodity? I'm like, have you seen the people that walk this planet?
Yeah. It's Barkley.
People like auction.
Yes.
Why?
He wants Saquon as his running back and with the Chargers.
What's he going to try to Michigan through the NFL? Like, it ain't going to happen. I mean, I've seen the Giants try it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, so Eckler's a free agent, and there's reports that they're not going to re-franchise tag Saquon. Who knows if they really will or not? But there's reports that if he doesn't, Jim wants him. Somebody in the league, I don't remember who it was today, Seattle maybe, signed Jim Harbaugh's son as a special teams coordinator.
Hoping for a little good faith,
So there's another Harbaugh in the league.
The one thing I think Harbaugh has going for him is the time he has spent in college recently. He's been doing nothing but recruiting 24/7.
Yeah, and getting Jay Harbaugh, yeah. He's been taking some interesting drugs up there in Michigan, coming out and saying J.J. McCarthy is the best quarterback in the draft.
Well, listen, everybody likes their own brand, right?
Special teams, that's the Harbaugh. I mean, it was John's. That's for damn sure. But I mean, look.
I mean, if you had to go with gyms, it's probably breaking the rules. You know, I mean, let's be real here. He's like, meh, I can go out to dinner with these players.
But anything else before we pick the Super Bowl?
I mean, Saquon came out and said it, and he said, I hate to say it, but I'm a big fan of Christian McCaffrey, and he's definitely the best running back in the NFL right now.
I mean, there's no doubt about that one.
I mean, it's not even fucking close. I mean, you saw the guys. Josh Jacobs fell off a cliff this year. Fuck Eckler, like he's not even a true running back essentially. Chubb obviously got hurt. Was probably the only other guy that could have kept up.
Eckler's become James White.
Yeah, that's actually a really good comparison.
Where he's just really good out of the backfield, but as a pass catcher, but not.
Yeah,
between the tackles.
I think the emerging guy would probably be Kyren Williams.
I think Kyron's easily coming into the number 2 spot. I don't remember what the rushing yards leader was this year. JT's still obviously on the list if he's healthy. We saw what he did. I mean,
yeah, he's still got some juice, right? Like, but he's always hurt. It seems like.
Yeah, he's been dealing with this ankle injury for like 2 full seasons now. But it's hard to picture McCaffrey not being I mean, he might be the best player in the league. Like, just pure what he does for the team, there might not be someone better. Because Lamar can have a good game and the Ravens can lose. When Christian McCaffrey has a good game, they don't lose football games.
Well, I mean, he accounts for so much. Like,
yeah.
You know, in Detroit, you have a 1-2 punch, so you see them less. Derrick Henry's kind of at the end. I mean, Raheem Mostert had a year.
I think it's going to go down with, A-Chain in his second season's probably going to get more touches and stuff, but
like
Raheem Mostert's 32.
You ready? Here, let me just throw this out there. I'm looking at these guys going into the final stretch. Let's see, what week was it? Week 15, okay? So Christian McCaffrey, 13 games played, which means he missed one. Raheem Mostert, 13 games played. He missed one. Derrick Henry, 13 games played. He missed one. Kyren Williams, 9 games played. ETN, 13 games played. Like, James Cook, 13 games played. Saquon, 10. Josh Jacobs, 13. Like, it's really a position where you have to have a second guy that can do it too. Not all the time, but you need kind of the setup Pittsburgh has, but better. You know, you have to have the Detroit Lions setup.
So these are the free agents entering 2024 at running back. I just want to put this out here. Derrick Henry,
Cowboy,
Josh Jacobs,
Raider,
Tony Pollard, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, Gus Edwards, Cordero Patterson, Devin Singletary, Zeke, DeAndre Swift, Donta Foreman, and then it gets kind of ugly with like Cam Akers, Amir Abdullah, random losers. A.J. Dillon, Kareem Hunt, Zach Moss, Ty Johnson, and that's about it worthwhile mentioning. But like a lot of really big name free agents, and then Nick Chubb next year.
Yeah.
From my understanding, they want him back, and he wants to come back. They just want to make sure the price is right. Green Bay currently sits at $0.00 on the salary cap. They're not under. They're not over. They're perfectly, literally on the line. They're going to make some moves to free up some cap space, and they'll get the extra cap space the NFL always gives, but they'll work something out with A.J. Dillon. The 1-2 punch when they're both healthy is too good. They just both need to be healthy this year.
Give me 1 second, Matt. I'll be right back.
You're good. So we got, some huge names. And, Derrick Henry is massive because he slowed down a little bit. But if you give him a true number 2, we saw it towards the end of the year with Tajay Spears. When Tajay Spears was fully going and Derrick Henry was fully going, it was an unpredictable offense. So if you can get Derrick Henry on a team, you said Dallas, if they get Pollard. Otherwise, I don't think Derrick Henry's great in Dallas. Yeah, AJ will stay as long as he'll take the pay cut. The real thing is we need to get Bakhtiari to take a pay cut or trade him. I honestly just want to trade him. We were fine without him again this season, so fuck it. I just get him off the roster. He eats way too much cap space. For a guy who hasn't played in 2 full seasons to continue sitting there, eat all the money he eats, I'm tired of it. Let me hold on. Bakhtiari. I'm looking up his cap hit. But there's some really, we're going to talk about it more and more each week because free agency is coming. And we love to be on top of things. We like to make predictions here. 2024, he will eat carrying a cap hit of $39 million, David Bakhtiari. So a starting left tackle who hasn't played in 2 full seasons will eat $39 million. He might be the best left tackle in the league when he's healthy. Trent Williams type good, but he hasn't been healthy in 2 full seasons. I'm done. It needs to be moved on, and Green Bay needs to let it go. Go ahead and keep Aaron Jones. Keep Jair if you really want. I think we could be okay without Jair if we drafted a corner because I actually think Carrington Valentine is super special. But Jair loves Green Bay, and it's hard to find a top player that loves to stay in Green Bay. So if he wants to stay, I would like it if he would take a small cap cut just because he eats a lot now. But Gus Edwards is another big name. He's never going to be a true 1, but he's a good pairing partner. And if Baltimore doesn't re-sign him, they're stuck with Dobbins, who hasn't been healthy yet his entire career. And I don't know, Justice Hill. You got Keaton Mitchell, but Keaton Mitchell is one of those change of pace backs. He's not a true between tackle back. So I don't know. Some of these names that are free agents are really big deals to see where they land.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
You're good. The hell was that? All the animals are next to me, and it sounded like the tortoise sneezed. And
I heard something in the background. I was like,
someone sneezed, but they're all right next to me, so I don't know. I assume it was the tortoise. I don't know.
Might have been.
The cat did jump down to me afterwards, so maybe she sneezed, and I just misjudged where she was standing. So free agency's coming after the Super Bowl. We're going to talk a lot of free agency. We're going to talk a lot of draft stuff. But all we have left tonight, unless you have other things, is the Super Bowl.
Not really. We're going to have to start watching ESPN 8, the Ocho, to pick up content.
Is Ocho actually a thing again?
No, it was for a little while. It's great when you want to watch something you've never seen before.
Dude, the Ocho. So last year during the summer, they had a week where the Ocho was on all week long. It was like around the 4th of July or something, and it was only on at middle of the night.
Yeah,
but they had axe throwing. They had competitive axe throwing. They had competitive. What is that thing called when you throw beanbags into a cornhole? I could watch Ocho all day long.
Pickleball,
that would be another good one to watch. I plan on watching the Nickelodeon broadcast of the Super Bowl this year. I actually agree with you, and I plan on doing the same.
Didn't we try to watch that one game on the Nickelodeon?
No, that was Disney.
Oh, Disney.
It was behind. Nickelodeons will be live because all they do is they show the game as it is. They just show the little touchdown celebration. But my hopes and dreams are that maybe since it's on Nickelodeon, Taylor Swift won't be the focal point, and I won't have to see her as much as CBS will show her. especially after Tony Romo kissed her ass last week. I'm like, and again, nothing against Taylor. I just watch football to watch football. I don't care about all the sideshow shit. I just come to watch the game of football. But honestly, watching SpongeBob and Patrick a couple of years ago, 2 years ago in the playoffs, Patrick Starr was roasting people for throwing interceptions. So I mean, like, it's worth watching. I don't know. I get to watch Patrick Starr and SpongeBob, and apparently Dora the Explorer will be the rules analyst. Not sure how I feel about that one, but it is hard to not want to watch Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, though.
Swipe or no swiping?
Yeah, that's my brain is like CBS is obviously pushing the agenda of selling because she makes money. But Nickelodeon, like the idea might be, oh, well, little kids watch this and they love Taylor and like Taylor, so they might, I don't know.
I'm not even mad at him. I'm not even mad at him. I have to look at fucking Jerry Jones' ugly old wrinkly face every time Dallas is on the screen. I don't care.
Yeah, I have to see Robert Kraft when the Patriots play. Like, we're about to pick.
At least that guy knows, what massage parlor to go to.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the thing we want in our owners. I mean, I can't talk. My team is full of owners that we don't know what they do. I mean, Green Bay's owners are literally stockhold share owners. I mean, we could have murderers and unseedy human beings owning the Green Bay Packers. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Irsay would be fun to hang out with.
Irsay needs to leave. They need to remove him. After the report came out that he was found unconscious again in his house, it's time to Mark Murphy respond to that guy.
Listen, he wasn't unconscious. He was time traveling.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Mark Murphy's the president of the Green Bay Packers, and he was emailed about the fan emailed about him wanting him to step down, and he actually responded by telling the fan that he heard the Bears had a defensive coordinator job open up if he wanted to go work for the Bears. But all right, so Packers, Jesus Christ, we just talked about them. Niners, Chiefs, Super Bowl. Not just one email, but yeah, I didn't know all that. I just saw the highlight of it on Instagram. Niners, Chiefs, Super Bowl this Sunday. On CBS or Nickelodeon, your preference. You choose whichever game you want to watch. One is Patrick Starr and SpongeBob. One has Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. I mean, it just comes down to what kind of game you prefer to watch. This is a tough one to pick. The Chiefs are the underdog by 1.5.
I don't understand how.
But it's at 6:30, just so those who don't remember, 6:30 Eastern time. So you got to remember it's not an 8:00 game. It's earlier. You get Drake as the halftime show.
Oh, God.
No, not Drake. I'm sorry. Usher. Usher.
Oh,
way better. Way
Way
better. Not the biggest Usher fan, but I hate Drake, so way better.
Yeah, Usher has enough clout to bring people you'd want to see on stage with him.
Yeah, I mean, Usher sang with like everybody.
Beyonce, like everybody big.
Yeah. I'm intrigued. He's a performer. Like I'm not the biggest fan of his music, but he is a hell of a performer. So I'm intrigued to see what it's going to look like and how he's going to do. But anyway, Super Bowl pick time. I've been very adamant about one thing. The San Francisco 49ers are the Dallas Cowboys of the NFL. They just don't get as much hate for it. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 95. And I'm going to say they continue to lose Super Bowls, and I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs to win their third under Patrick Mahomes. It's an easy pick probably, but I mean, they're the dog, so I guess not really. But I just think that when it comes down to it, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes will get the job done somehow, some way. Reba McEntire is doing the national anthem. Yeah, thank you. To answer your question. But I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wait, Reba's doing the national anthem in Vegas? Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
I don't mind Reba, but listen.
It should have been Donnie and Marie.
Fuck. Sonny and Cher. I mean, I keep saying it to everybody I talk to. I picked the Niners to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. That's who I'm taking. I'm riding it out.
It's like me picking the Ravens last week.
I have very little confidence in it right now because if you do what you did against Detroit, you ain't coming back against that Kansas City defense. I can tell you that right now. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, and I've watched the 49ers games and some highlights over and over again. They can't stop the run. Like if you can't stop the run against Kansas City, they're just going to dice you because that's exactly what happened with Baltimore. Like you just can't give Patrick Mahomes 9 seconds to throw the ball. And people probably don't like to hear it, but right now he's the best football player walking the planet.
Yeah, I mean, even when the numbers are down, he still somehow makes it look good, and he makes the games when he needs to.
My dad said it about the Patriots. My dad is a Minnesota Vikings fan, and he always said it about the Patriots. He goes, "There's just an inevitability, no matter what game they're playing in and how many points they're down, that they're going to win the game." And that's just how it feels kind of with Kansas City right now. Like everything bounces their way, and people want to complain about. Listen. You can complain about the refs, but if you look at the numbers, overall, it's pretty balanced. There are some questionable ones at times, but overall, it's pretty balanced.
As much as I give them shit, it's only because I hate Patrick Mahomes asking for the penalty all the time, but I want to clear something up. In the past 6 years, the Chiefs actually are 31st in the league in penalties. They're second worst in penalties given up.
Right.
And
they get opponents everything because people don't want
opponents. And their opponents are the third fewest calls against since Mahomes has been the quarterback. So, I mean, the only reason it bothers me is because Mahomes, after every play, is asking for a penalty. That's the only thing that bothers me. I don't actually think they get better calls.
I think that's why he does it so often because he's like, what the fuck?
But his team's been very undisciplined. It's a Steve Spagnuolo thing because a lot of it's on defense. If you look at the penalties, a lot of the penalties are on defense. And Steve Spagnuolo back to the Giants he was the defensive coordinator for the Giants when they won their 2 Super Bowls against the Patriots. They were still a very penalized team back then. Steve Spagnuolo plays a very aggressive defense, which gets penalties in today's league. So it all adds up in the end. But anyone who hates the Chiefs just hates the Chiefs to hate the Chiefs. Look, now I do have a thing that I do have a worry for the Chiefs. I do think they got an inappropriate and very poorly timed distraction for Patty. She's looking at a mirror behind Dot. She sees Dot and a mirror of Dot. But I want to point this out. And yes, Mew's eyes are glowing behind me, which is creepy. But Pat Mahomes Sr. was arrested for a DWI today or yesterday. I don't remember. Yesterday. I do think that's a little bit of a distraction.
Listen.
Patty is very close to his family.
Hear me out. Okay. Look at the parallels. It's his 3rd DWI.
I did not know that.
This will be Patty Mahomes' third Super Bowl. Math checks out.
But that's Mew. Yeah, that's Mew. One was on the ground staring at me. But yeah, so he's taking Niners. I'm taking Chiefs. He's taking Niners. Just like the reason I took the Ravens. I took them before the season started, and they got here, so I thought they were going to go all the way. Who's the halftime usher?
Ursher.
But yeah, I don't know. You got anything else? It was a nice, quick show. We had a good chats. Anything else?
No, I don't got much else. I mean,
I can check for a raid, but
I think after this one, if Mahomes and Reed win, there's going to be two serious stories, which is that Shanahan can't win the big one.
Okay.
And that, Reed and Mahomes have a definite shot at best duo of all time.
And I think there's a chance that if he wins this, though, it's hard to talk about for a lot of fans, but I think there's a chance Andy Reid steps away soon. I'm not necessarily saying it's this year, but the man is 67. He's got
loves cheeseburgers and his grandkids.
He's had some health problems.
Hear me out. Andy Reid steps down. Bill Belichick steps in.
I actually think they would call Mike Vrabel immediately.
I mean, that's probably who I would call. Let's be real here. Wait. Breaking story. Sodgate, San Francisco not able to practice.
Yeah, I heard about that. Already getting another distraction.
You know what? It might have been all the excess booze from Pat's dad.
I try not to laugh because alcohol addiction is a problem, and I mean he was an MLB great, so I do like Patty Mahomes Sr. But
listen, it's a spectrum, okay?
Called that Reed steps down if they win. Also, I just think he goes out on top. So part of me feels that way.
I think he's too close to give up. Like I think he goes like another year. If they win it.
So that's how I feel. Like part of me thinks he goes another year. Part of me thinks he retires. Part of me thinks he goes until Kelsey retires, and then he goes out with Travis.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Again, I don't know how long till Travis retires.
I think he might be this year.
He claimed that it's not going to happen this year. He's going to finish out his contract.
I mean, he still looks good. He just looks a little slower, right? Like,
and he's dropped the ball more this year than his entire career. So
I'd probably call Bill to tell him to put his shirt on in Nantucket. Hey, when you're leaving, that Cougar's house, could you put your fucking shirt on? All right.
I'd call Bill just because he lives kind of near me. He lives in Annapolis, so I mean, I'd be like, "Hey."
Oh, and the one other thing that I loved, I don't know if you saw it, but the Shannon Sharp thing where he called out Micah Parsons, nothing but excuses. I was like, yeah, it sounded like a lot of excuses, Micah, because you didn't show up in the big games.
And I mean, the guys I listen to, the guys I like to watch a lot every morning when I make my eggs. They're just guys like us, just guys that love football, study the game of football. They're not like professionals, like at the level of like TV and stuff. But as they said, how does anyone listen to Micah Parsons' podcast and take him seriously? It's like he's an NFL level player, but he literally looks like a dude in a dark dungeon talking to himself about himself. Like he looks like, but you're not talking about yourself. He looks like a guy talking in a mirror about himself. Like he's always just talking about his play and the Cowboys play, and that's it. He doesn't seem to actually talk ball. He talks about himself. And I'm like, dude, you got to, and like you said,
listen, it's kind of the cowboy way, right? Like we're a lot of cheerleader, rah, 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 but when it comes down to it, all bluster.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to continue to be their way. I'm not trying to say Mike McCarthy's a bad coach, but he ain't the guy to lead them to the next step.
Listen, 12-5 all day. I'll give them that all day, but they ain't winning a playoff game.
Yeah, it's not going to get any better, especially since Pollard's a free agent. So now you got to figure out running back. It's just going to get ugly.
Well, you had to figure that out when he was there anyway, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, but they kept thinking he was it. I don't know what the hell that was.
They're literally one CeeDee Lamb injury away from being irrelevant.
Right?
Like, come on. That was the one thing that was just glaring to me was like he was all of the offense when they were winning, and he was all of the offense when they were losing, and his stats were better in games where they were losing.
Yeah. Hold on. This is the funny thing, though. Well, he has to get paid, by the way.
I mean, Jerry's like loyal to a fault to his players and his coaches.
Oh, I was pointing that out because
He doesn't have a quick trigger finger. Like he doesn't fire people just on a whim.
I was pointing out because Michael Gallup is $15 million against their cap the next 3 seasons each. Michael freaking Gallup.
I mean, that's all right. It's not going to be what Dak is. So
I'm amazed that hasn't been done yet. Like, I'm shocked that they haven't made that deal happen yet. Everybody was talking about how close it was, and it's going to happen. It's inevitable, and we're still here, and there's no Dak signing.
I just think it's fucking outrageous that dude's going to get $50 to $60 million a year.
He's going to be paid Pat Mahomes type money. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I don't know, man. I like the Kirk Cousins deal of the world, 30 flat. Just make it guaranteed. No, I'm all right.
Yeah, just take the $30 million guaranteed, bet on yourself every year. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen.
Like Baker, what? He was playing on a $4 million deal and made an extra $1 million for making the playoffs or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and now he's going to get paid again. Like, okay. I mean, the Bucks, that's got to be a done deal, right? Where else do they go?
I don't know. New offensive coordinator, new passing game coordinator. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know right now is there's a lot of uncertainty going into everything we're going to be going into, including the Super Bowl. So I can just see it now, right? I can just see this Super Bowl being a great matchup, Kansas City, San Francisco, and in like the first 6 minutes, 2 major injuries, and it's like game's over.
Imagine Pat Mahomes and Chris Jones go down.
Nah. Imagine like Pat Mahomes and then
McCaffrey.
Or like left tackle. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I hate to say it, but these two teams are so physical. It's like something like that's bound to happen.
I hate the week off thing too.
The hell's
I know it's needed.
Camera? Trying to put me in the mood or something?
The Viking Raiders are coming out, bruh. Okay, to be fair, you work at a sports grill and bar in Canada. There are people in the United States that work at a sports bar and grill that probably have it a lot worse on Super Bowl.
Listen. Canada was rated the safest place to visit in 2024 for foreign travelers. And I just got to say, that's what you get for being as fucking nice as you guys are.
Yeah, I mean, you don't live there, so you don't got to get robbed by Trudeau.
Yeah, I live in New York, basically southern Canada, and I get robbed.
Your town is the town of the size of my butt. So, like imagine working at a sports bar grill in Vegas.
So you know all the locals is what you're saying. Like, that's got to work in your favor because, like, in Vegas, that doesn't happen. Big cities, fuck, you get thrown out immediately. Yeah, look, you know which regulars you like and that tip well, and you know the regulars to stay away from because he gets a little too touchy-feely when he has a couple tequilas in him, you know?
She works in the kitchen, though, so she don't got to deal with these idiots.
Well, if you work in the kitchen, then you got to deal with the kitchen staff.
It is amazing that their rival historically is the Niners and then their division rival, the Chiefs, are playing a Super Bowl in Vegas. I do find it to be pretty wonderful.
Only to be surpassed by Dallas having less playoff wins in their own barn than Alabama.
Yeah. I'm looking for a raid. I don't got one. But so before we have,
I had Twitch open and I have like 57 tabs open, so I have no idea where it is.
I do want to point out that, and I feel bad, but for those who do not understand how important a head coach is in college football, the head coach of Washington leaving the University of Washington has absolutely killed the University of Washington's college football program, as 15 players have left in the transfer portal now to follow up head coach.
That sucks.
due to the fact that the 69ers, what the hell are the 69ers?
They're the Niners.
Oh, the
69ers.
49ers. About the COVID memes. I mean, the Chiefs probably, I mean, I don't know. I don't look at COVID memes. But I don't know. The Niners have been to the Super Bowl like 7 times. So, I mean, since 1995. So, I mean, if we look at everything that's happened when they've made it, there'd be a lot of crazy things to talk about.
I don't want to get all political here, but if you want to look at something funny, go on Reddit and search Herman Cain Awards.
Or look at like,
Herman Cain Award is the award for claiming COVID was false and then dying of COVID.
Or the
they show their Facebook profiles and all the conspiracy theories they share, and then they show their death certificate as the last photo.
Or if you want to watch something funny, you can always watch the Ben Shapiro rap song.
Oh, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. Way to fucking cement that career.
I thought someone made a meme. I legit thought it was a meme. And then he actually posted it himself. And I was like, oh, this is real.
I thought Israel bombed Palestine. Turned out it was friendly fire.
All right. I have no one. Any of you guys have a friend that's rateable?
You said the key word there that I don't understand. Friend?
Friend? I don't know. There's something that sometimes some people pretend to be. I don't know. Ray, you don't even rate at the end of your streams. You can't. Who are friends? There's 6 people named Ross, Chandler, Phoebe, Rachel. I don't know who I already said. Rachel and Monica. There you go.
The pour a line out for
Matt Perry.
Hop in my hot tub.
All right, so I guess we're gonna go back to rating otters. I win. That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's like shut it down, hit the dump button, hit the dump button. I was gonna say the only thing I pretended to be isn't Friends. It's sober.
They're the only friends I know. I don't know.
Oh, anyways, you know what? We got 6 days till the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm putting up a raid right now, but go ahead and talk.
I'm excited, but I feel like this is the worst time of the year too, because now what do I do?
Oh, I've got plenty of things for us.
No, I got things, but I'm just it's nice when I'm doing work on the house on Sundays to always have football in the background. I'm not going to listen to the NBA. What am I to hear? The squeaking of their shoes.
You could join your buddy and learn about turning left at an extremely fast rate every Sunday. It starts the week after the Super Bowl. They're really smart about it.
I don't know if you know what kind of brain I have, but I watched cricket for 6 hours trying to learn what was going on.
I do love me some cricket. It is a fun. I mean, look, for those who are like, how does Matt watch NASCAR? Look, here's a very easy way to get into it. Netflix just put out a NASCAR series, and it is fucking incredible. I highly recommend.
Well, it's still a skill. Don't get me wrong. It's still an incredible skill.
Oh, it is.
It's kind of why we were talking about, right? Hamilton going to Ferrari, not
Lewis
this
Hamilton
year, but next
Ferrari
year
is a big deal starting next season. Yeah,
he told him it's the car, and I hope he starts winning again to be like, it's your fucking car.
Mercedes has just been too far behind for 2 years now.
The guys that drive these cars know them better than the engineers who build them.
Yep.
There's dudes you can see videos of Hamilton where he's literally just by a track and his ears will perk up and he knows exactly what engine it is.
Yeah.
It's insane, but these guys have intimate knowledge of their skill. So I can understand people want to turn left. Hey, listen, as long as I can have a beer in my hand, I'll fucking watch anything.
I mean, like I said, the drivers, for those who don't know, the drivers make the adjustments while they're driving the car. They literally tell the crew chief, hey, this is not feeling right, and we need to do this, and I need you to make it feel like this so I can be better while they're in the middle of driving. And
if you haven't seen it, the number one F1 team running team Red Bull,
unbelievable.
They did a pit stop in 0G.
Yeah,
They went up
they're
to
unbelievable.
no gravity, and did a pit stop floating and pulled it off.
The things that Red Bull has been doing, like even the dude who dove at like
From
at the
outside
very
the
edge
atmosphere.
I mean, the things Red Bull is doing is crazy. And
They
their
just don't
Formula
care.
One cars are.
What's his name there? The what was he? The motorcycle guy there, Travis Pastrana.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just kind of went like Nitro Circus. They were like, all right, like let's do this all the time. Like the Hoonigan cars and all, you know what I mean? Like they just get behind everything. That's
I would
rad.
love like a Red Bull sponsored Olympics where like you just get crazy ass extreme Red Bull shit.
Wait. We did miss on this. So
I'm listening.
I make a joke about this all the time. And you can legally now sports bet on the Special Olympics. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can legally sports bet on the Special Olympics now. And then there is a petition and a fund going to run the Olympics with no drug testing. The Juice Olympics. Yes. Yes. You can just roid yourself out of your mind. I love it. What do you think? Do you think Lance Armstrong makes a comeback for cycling?
Could you imagine some of the athletes that would enter wrestling?
Yeah, John Jones.
Conor McGregor enters the boxing program.
Barry Bonds on our baseball team. Fuck. Call up Mark McGuire. I would totally like. I always thought this. Like, it would be great if in the Olympics, like if they had 9 world-class runners and then just put one regular person in lane 10. Like, come on. And it's kind of done like the Hunger Games. So, like, you just get drafted from, like, your district. It's like, you got to race these guys. And if you don't, well, you got to go away.
The Olympics are coming up this year. For those who don't remember that, I know a lot of people don't watch the Olympics. I couldn't tell you a single thing about Summer Olympics.
I can't wait to watch the speed walking world championship.
Nah, I'm a Winter Olympic guy. Granted, they did just announce, this is news, I guess, 2026 and 2030 will have hockey again in the Winter Olympics.
Well, Canada's going to be down about 5 roster slots, so.
And the World Cup, the final just got announced to be at MetLife Stadium, which is honestly one of the worst stadiums in the United States as far as turf and playfield goes. So we'll have to see how that goes.
We're going to pay $400,000 the day before.
I mean, they're switching to grass this season in the NFL, so I assume that's a permanent move. So maybe it'll be better. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like,
Paris, Rio, and East Rutherford, New Jersey. Yeah, I mean, those are the next 3 big events.
Listen, you listen. You can kind of see the city, but you can definitely smell it. All right, like.
But they're playing a lot of good stadiums along the way. It just happens to be where the final will be at MetLife. But they're playing in, Lincoln Financial, the Falcons, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So should be some good games in the World Cup coming up. I know it's not for a couple more years, but I'm always paying attention.
If you're in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, you always got a shot to go to Magic City. So
I get them. She's hyper as hell right now.
We all go for the wings. We all go for the wings.
Passed out. All right. Anything else before we raid this wildlife rescue that I'm a big fan and supporter of? Is that nothing else? All right. We'll be back next Monday. Talk about what happened in the Super Bowl.
Over under. Seconds Taylor Swift is on the screen.
6 minutes, 35 seconds.
That is awfully brave of you, Matt.
I think they're going to show her a lot during the halftime show.
I was going to say,
They're
do you
gonna
think she comes out on the halftime show? Like,
she could, but I think they're going to just show her a lot during Usher's performance, even if she's not on the stage. I think they're going to show her dancing to Usher. So
that's true. I'm gonna go a little modest on this one because I think the Super Bowl is gonna have a lot of people there that they want the camera on.
I mean, it's in Vegas, right? So everyone should be there. Gordon Ramsay's already said he's going to be there. So give me Gordon Ramsay.
Dude, give me that bowl cut for like 4 minutes.
No, I don't want Mark Davis.
Come on now. Hear me out.
She'll only be in the post game if they win. If they lose, she's going to walk down to the locker room.
Yeah, are we counting post game? Like is it total screen time Super Bowl? Because like she could be in a commercial.
If we're counting post game, I'm going to go like 20 minutes because I think the Chiefs are going to win and they're going to show her the whole time because she'll be part of the trophy celebration and everything else. So she was part of the AFC title celebration.
Have you guys seen the conspiracy theory that her favorite number is 13 and that's Brock Purdy's number?
Yeah, it's about to raid, just so we're aware.
All right, guys.
We love you guys. We'll see you next Monday at 8. Dude, my fucking cough has been unrelenting tonight. I haven't coughed all day. And then I started like actually talking because I didn't